Guys, this guy's a beast. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. He's a Hall of Fame producer. Hall of Fame in FFL terms is you've written over $400,000 on your own pen in the calendar year. Colton was a Hall of Fame producer for 2021, and just really excited to have him on. He's going to share some knowledge with us. I'm going to pick his brain, and definitely excited to have him on. I believe, let me pull you up. Colton, are you there, bub?
Yeah, I'm on. Sorry, I was on. I didn't realize I'm on my wife's Zoom right now.
I figured last night. Good. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, absolutely, dude. I'm really excited to have you on, man. And anytime we can have a Hall of Fame producer on to kind of share, tips and tricks and work ethic and all that stuff, we're definitely excited. So, man, if we'll kind of get right to it, dude. Just kind of walk me through real quick how you found FFL, what you were doing prior, and then we'll kind of go through some stuff. But just take a minute or two and give me a little bit of a background.
Yeah, so definitely no sales or insurance background whatsoever. I was in the pest control industry before this and was just looking for something better. I was capped out at what I was doing, made a good income, worked with a decent company, but I was just looking for something better. I was looking for something 1099 and sales because I knew the opportunity there on the income side, but I just stumbled upon an ad on Indeed basically, and really the only thing I got behind where I could make a good income and still feel like I was making a difference and wasn't some snake car salesman or anything like that. So, but yeah, so I've been here since like March of April of last year, and really just haven't looked back since.
Okay, so you found FFL on Indeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's just like a big kind of a lesson for those of you that are building an agency. Dude, I found FFL, if you can believe this, on Craigslist. I was like you, dude. I literally would wake up every morning and get on ZipRecruiter and Indeed and Craigslist and Facebook, all the different things, just going, please, oh God, let me find something. So for those of you that are building an agency, it's good to kind of have a lot of different feelers out there. You want to have a lot of different places that you're advertising in, because you never know. I mean, you never know where the next Hall of Fame producer is going to come from. And you never know that, those that are actively looking for things are typically more driven than, people that you have to talk, into the opportunity for, So, okay, walk me through. So, and I do apologize, man. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably going to embarrass myself here. You are going to hit Hall of Fame this year, or did you hit it last year?
No, I already hit it this year.
There you go. That's what I figured. I wasn't sure if you're a 2-time Hall of Famer or a 1-time Hall of Famer. Okay, so you already hit it for this year. Okay, but let's backtrack, right? So kind of walk me through your first month or two in FFL, kind of what your thought process was, what you thought it was compared to what it is, and kind of, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I started part-time basically. So I didn't make the jump right away. So I started part-time for about 3 months. I was trying to prove the concept to myself and my family. So I did, it was definitely a grind because in order to do it part-time and really succeed, you've got to do it full-time. And so I was probably working 50, 60 hours a week at my pest control job, and part-time here, I was probably working 30 hours at least. And so I was just trying to prove the concept and quit my job as soon as I could, just seeing all the trainings, and I knew the opportunity and I didn't want to miss out. So, I mean, I'd go to work about 4 a.m, get home about 2 or 3. And then from 2 to 3 until the evening, I was either on dial days, I was calling, on run days, I was running appointments from 3 to 8. And basically did 20K 3 months in a row. And at that point, then I was kind of ready to quit my job. So it it was a grind in the beginning. And obviously from month 1 to month 3 and even month 4 was a big difference, because there was that big learning curve. But I'm super happy that I did it the way I did, because a lot of people come in part-time and they're only working maybe 10, 15 hours a week, and it's a real struggle if that's the only time that you can put in.
Dude, that's so cool that you say that, because I was exactly like you. I came in part-time. I did it exactly 3.5 months. I did what you did. I didn't treat it like a part-time. I was like, okay, dude, if I'm going to do this, like, and I found myself, because it's almost like a puzzle. So like, I found myself when I would get off work at my other job, I was thinking about FFL. I was watching YouTube videos. I was like trying to get better at my craft. And like when I was at my other job, I literally like, I'm thinking about sales. I'm thinking about, so I completely and utterly agree with you in the sense that like people that do this part-time and treat it part-time, it's hard, dude. It's just hard. Like you have to, it's a numbers game, and it's time that you have to devote to it. So, okay. So let me ask you this. What was your feeling coming from Pest Control? So I was a bartender. I was like bar manager and bartender. I was doing like same thing, 50, 60 hours a week, at the bar, and like, probably about 40, 50 hours a week at the bar. And I felt like just as much time at FFL. I mean, I was not sleeping. I was doing it a lot. So walk me through like the first little bit of time, the first couple weeks, like coming from Pest Control as an employee, right? I do think it's kind of a mind F in the sense of like you go from, W-2, clocking in, getting paid, to 1099 commission, and you're investing. So like that's like a big transition, for most people. So kind of walk me through like, did you get that right out the gate? Did you understand that you need to spend a lot of money, or were you one of those guys that spent a couple $100 week 1 and then was like, okay, week 2, let me spend more money? Or what? Walk me through your story, dude.
Yeah. So I just really, even when I was studying for my state test, I was just diving into every train I could get my hands on, and I just stumbled upon the podcast. So, I mean, I was listening. I was on the road a lot in my work truck, so I was listening to the podcast over and over, and I just had it beat in my head that you're going to be spending. You need to invest money to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times your money back. So, I mean, I kind of got the aspect of that and understood that I needed to invest money if I wanted to get anything back, because I absolutely wasn't going to cold call anyone. I absolutely wasn't going to go out to my friends and family and ask them either. So it kind of took more than a second for my wife to get it. That's what I kind of had to.
He wasn't listening to the podcast probably and all that.
No, like she's all in now, but she's like, she knows like if she gives me a credit card, like I'll just go spend it. But it was different. So, I mean, it took discipline. I mean, when I started, I got a $5,000 credit card for leads and for leads only. So I got it for the business, and that's kind of how I started it.
Ask you something real quick, because I think this is a big, huge point. Because and like, dude, the way we are with our agency and our agents, like we're all about transparency. So that's really awesome that you did that. And I think that new agents that don't have much money to their name, they won't go do that. So I just want to point that out, that like if you're a brand new agent and like you don't have a lot, you're not liquid, you don't have a couple $1,000s lying around, which let's be real, like a lot of people really don't. When they're coming over, it's okay to step out on the ledge and go get a credit card. It's okay to get a secured credit card or do whatever you got to do to get going. So that's pretty cool that you did that. So was that kind of scary, or were you just kind of like, let's go?
I mean, I just saw the opportunity. Like, I'm just a person. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And like, I'm just going to do it. And there's no option of failing. So I'm gonna fail and stumble on the phones and in the home, but like completely quitting, that's the only way I knew I was gonna fail. So I knew I needed to do whatever I could to to do whatever it took. And because it was going to be a lot harder because people, they see their own money and they don't want to invest the money. Even they have it in their savings account, they don't want to pull it to the savings and use that because they worked hard for that. And it's a lot easier to use that unsecured credit card money. And in the beginning, when I was hiring people, I never really mentioned it, but then you see people struggling and sometimes they just need a Kickstarter, and that's exactly what it does. And I am 100%, like you said, transparent. Like, don't do this if you're going to get leads and not call them, because you're going to go in debt, and I'm not going to be the reason why you racked up $5,000 in credit card debt.
Exactly.
If you work and you call these leads and you resolve every single one of them, there's no way you don't make your money back.
So walk me through. So if you don't mind, like week one, what was how much did you spend on leads? And like kind of walk me through your experience, like week one, what it was like, what your kind of emotions were going on. Like, you sound like to me, like you were, if I had to take a guess, you spent what you needed to spend and you were prepared. You sound like, truthfully, like your story is very similar to mine, dude. I could not have watched more podcasts before I got going. I could have not have, dude, I was prepared, and like with preparation came confidence. So kind of walk me through like your first kind of week.
Yeah. So my first week, I know I spent at least $1,000 on leads. I think closer to 1,500 about. And I think I did around, and it might have been like a week and 2 days because I was coming in. I ran like 2 days at the end of March and then first week in April. But so maybe it was a week and a half, and I did $7,000 my first week and a half. I think it might have been. And then it was just trying to repeat that every week. But it took a hell of a lot of dials. I was terrible on the phones. Right.
Okay, so actually, let's talk about that. So you spent the $1,000, you got the credit card, you made the decision you were going to start. You got wifey on board as best as possible in the beginning. Like your first dial day, kind of what was that like? That was not that, phone burner, I don't believe was around back then. And, even a lot of these leads that we have now aren't, like, dude, when I started, we didn't have instant internet life leads, no new internet life leads, no phone burner. It was like $25 a pop Facebook leads. So kind of walk me through like your first, like what was dial day like for you?
Yeah. So it was rough. So yeah, all we had was Facebook leads. So that's all I ran. Those are the leads we had at the time. So I had the Facebook leads, and at that point, like we were just trying to make like 250 dials compared to like people making 800 now on phone burner. But yeah, so just from day one, my very first dial day to dial day on my second day, I was just way more confident. Like my first dial day, I missed a lot of opportunity just because I wasn't confident on the phone. I was treating it like I was cold calling people when I wasn't. These people asked for our help, and I'm basically like asking them, "Can I come see you? Like you filled this out, didn't you?" And then once it clicked in my head, I got it to mentally click that they filled it out. I'm the only one with an insurance license. It's my job to come out there. It's my job to get you something in place. And if you don't get it, then I messed up. And once I figured that out, that's when I started getting more appointments.
So let me ask you this, because and I'm kind of this. We've got a lot of new agents on, and this is being recorded, and we're going to get it out to all of our new agents. But what would you say? I feel like as a leader, like sometimes I get a little frustrated, not frustrated, but like because you just want it so bad for the newer agents that don't reach out, and like you have to text them at the end of the dial day and go, "Hey, how did it go?" As opposed to, getting updates and getting questions. Like your first couple dial days, were you reaching out to your upline and asking questions, or did you physically dial out of the office, or what did that look like?
Yeah. So So there's definitely no office because I'm in Kansas, and there was basically like no one here when I started at that point. So basically dying out of my house. But and yeah, I absolutely reached out, and that's what was great. I mean, the guy that hired me, he wasn't doing too much here, but Stephen Yee, his upline, who's helped me throughout the whole entire process, and he's
My
great.
boy. He's helped me, dude. I reach out to him all the time. Love him.
Yeah, so he's awesome, and constantly reaching out, and that's what I tell people too. Is like I reached out like crazy, and the people who are doing well and who are successful here are the people that are answering or asking questions and continuing to ask questions. We're all here to help everyone. If you're not asking a question, I don't know if you're struggling or not.
Exactly, and you know, and most of the time it's because people don't want to bother you. They feel like they're bothering you.
Right.
That's not the case, dude. It's like, you know, listen, man, I had Grady Polson as my direct. Grady's busy as hell. And like, you know, I had to call him and I got 15 seconds of his time, but I made sure that if I did my due diligence and I tried to figure it out myself. And if I couldn't figure it out myself, I'm reaching out. You know what I mean? I'm making it quick. I'm asking the question. Okay, so you booked your appointments. You get to the end of the week, right? You run your appointments. You spend $1,000. You wrote 7K. So, you know, you probably had what, $4 or $5 deposit in your bank account, depending on what you wrote. I'm just throwing a guess out there. What was your next deposit, or what was your next lead purchase? What did that look like?
So with I basically repeated it. Or no, I don't think. No, this is where I screwed up, and I think it's a good thing to bring up. Is I think the second week, because I ended up buying more leads than I thought I needed. Like I was all in about buying, but I thought I was good. Like
you're like, I'm gonna resolve all these leads that I got, which everybody does. Everybody does.
Yeah, and in the days of the Facebook leads, like you had to give it time, 2-3 days to after you order them to get them. And then at that beginning of that next week, I struggled because I didn't have the leads I needed. And it was the second or third week. I can't remember. It's been so long, but since that day forward, I knew I was never going to have a lead problem again, because that screwed my whole entire week and it messed up all my numbers. And I didn't have the luxury of just going to the CRM. Oh, I'm low on leads. Let me go grab some real quick. But, right. So it's just and that's kind of how I've been ever since. Is if there's leads, I'm going to have more leads than I can handle.
So your mentality is exactly. So you just hit the nail on the head. So like your mentality is, and that was my mentality from pretty much the jump. It was like, I'm a firm believer in like everything affects everything. So if I buy more leads than I can handle, that's gonna do me well on dial days, because I've got plenty of leads. And if I have plenty of leads, that means that I'm gonna have confidence, and it's like having a full run schedule. Like you have confidence in the home because you're like, look, if you're gonna give me 6 objections, I got another house waiting for me to go to. It's the same thing like when you have plenty of leads. You're not going to haggle with Miss Mary for 3 minutes because she's, not wanting you to come over. So it's like, okay, I'm on to the next. So everything affects everything. So you learned your lesson, you buy more leads. So I would assume like you're on the couple grand a week, every week kick now, 30 appointments. We all say the same thing, 30 appointments a week, $2,000 a week. Mm-hmm. You're making more money than you've ever thought you could make, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I try and run really, really heavy on the weekends. Cause right now I've got 19 appointments this weekend. And that's always my goal, is if I can do 20 appointments on the weekend, and then cause 30 appointments is the minimum goal. So we all deal with no-shows. So, sometimes I have more no-shows than I want. So I just know I need more appointments to account for that.
You do 40 appointments a week? Is that kind of like your strategy? Because obviously you hit Hall of Fame super early, dude. You got...
Yeah. So, yeah. To be honest, so like I hit it really, really hard, especially when I was pushing for Hall of Fame. So I would get probably close to 40 appointments. I don't know if I've ever done 40 in a week. And now I'm at a point where, because the goal is not to be the number one producer at FFL. You want to go out there and build a business. And I came late to that game. I didn't really start hiring until the end of this year, but my goal is if I can go write 15 grand on the weekend, then I can take it a little easier Tuesday, Wednesday, and build a business. But if I don't write 10 grand on the weekend, then I'm going to run heavy again Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's up to my production what I do. So this last weekend I only did 8 grand, so I was running heavy again to go out there and at least hit, because 10 is like the bottom line, bare minimum, 10K a week, but ideally 15, 20.
So I like what you said there, like, because we've got a lot of people that are starting to build, and we've got like, really good producers that'll go out and write. And I think that, having discipline to say, I think it's real easy. Like when you write 15 grand, then you can kind of, you can dial it back a little bit, and you can spend more time hiring Tuesday, Wednesday. But sometimes you can fall in the trap of writing 7 or 8 grand and going, well, that's good enough, and I'll just hire Tuesday, Wednesday. I think like what you've shown, obviously you got discipline because you've hit Hall of Fame, very, very early in the year, so I would say that like, discipline in building the business and writing business, like those two go hand in hand. And here's the cool thing is you've hit Hall of Fame, which is a goal of yours. It was a goal of mine last year. But what comes along with that, it's like so cool. It's like you're just thinking Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame. But then you look and go, well, good Lord, I got a lot of money in my bank account, and I can hire staff, and I can spend money on marketing, and I can do all that. So I think that's really cool that you've hit that goal, and now you've got a bare minimum that you want to hit to be able to run your business, but also free up time because it's all time. If you're giving up most of your weekend, that's going to give you the time to build your business Tuesday, Wednesday. So I think it's just, I think where agents get in trouble is like just having the discipline week in, week out to set the goal for sales and set the goal for building and sticking to it. You know what I mean? So, okay. So let me, let's transition real quick, man. And once again, I do appreciate you being on in-home. So obviously you're a Hall of Fame producer. You sell at a high level. When did it kind of start clicking for you in your in-home? When did you, for me, it was last January. I wrote like 45 or something like that. And I was like, okay, like this is clicking. I've got this down. I've kind of got my, when did that, how far in was it for you when you were like, okay, I've got a good presentation and I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear all the time, get to your first 100 appointments, and people, like new people, hate hearing that probably because that's what we throw down everyone's throat is like you'll get it figured out. But honestly, probably a little bit after that, probably after when I went full time, probably my 4th or 5th month in, I kind of had it down, set in stone, and because it was at that point in the beginning, I was scared to set the table and be upfront with people because I feel like I never had enough appointments in the beginning. So I don't want to tell them I'm going to need their social and their bank information at the end because I don't have enough appointments to be on, and I don't want them to tell me that they don't want it anymore.
Please.
Right. So it was at that point I had it set in stone. I had how I do every appointment is just like repetitive. And everything is the same, and that's when I really kind of took off. And that's how it should be. The people that are all over the place or change their in-home every month, you can't have your structure down. You can't have everything set in place because I believe in don't change it if it isn't broken. But if you're saying certain things in the beginning, you're gonna feel that out, and you're gonna feel like what didn't work. And if you're reaching out and up, you're gonna figure it out. But you could be, because practice makes perfect. But if you're practicing the wrong move 100 times, like you're just you're not learning anything. So that's why
and that's so true, dude. It's like, because that was like me. Once again, like our stories are so similar. Like in the beginning, I tried a bunch of different stuff. And it's funny because like, it's like, to use a sports analogy, it's like in the beginning, everything it's like a million miles a minute. And then at the more appointments you run, it's like the game slows down. So you start watching podcasts and you're watching in-homes and you're doing all this stuff and you start trying different things. And then you're picking up what's working. You're picking up what's not working. It's like, oh, I said this and I didn't get a good reaction. So we probably need to table that. Okay, I said this and it's got a good reaction. And so I probably, like you, my in-home is a collection of probably 8 to 10 different agents. I mean, I got Andrew Taylor in there, Paul McLean, Grady Polson. I mean, John Wetmore. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I make it my own. You know what I mean? So it's like trial and error at the beginning, but once it starts working, don't feel the need to change it all. You know what I mean? So if you don't mind, dude, we don't need to go through the whole thing, but could you just kind of set the table for us? Like I would be an idiot not to ask you, a Hall of Fame producer, to do your in-home. So obviously you got into the door, you've asked to take your shoes off. I'm assuming that like you're taking control once you walk in. You're asking if, you're going to the kitchen table, turning off the TV, putting the kids in the other room, all that stuff. So you get to the table and kind of, let us know. And guys, if you're not taking notes, you got to be taking notes, dude, because this is important stuff. Like this is how you learn, how you grow, this is how you get better. So kind of take me through your in-home, bro. Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's not crazy, but it's super simple, and I keep everything super laid back because that's just the type of person I am. I'm never gonna feel like I'm a super sales guy there or anything like that. But I mean, I keep everything simple, and basically when I get there, whether it be like if it's a say mortgage or a final expense mailer, first thing I'm doing is laying the lead out, or if I have an instant, obviously you don't usually have the lead with you, but basically, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm there. So first thing, so this is obviously what you filled out. Did you fill this out because you have no barrel coverage, you need more, what's going on? And I'm just trying to pull the why out at the very beginning, have them tell me why I'm there, so I don't have to tell them why I'm there. And that's when they'll tell you sometimes you got to pick and prod a little bit, and that's necessary. You don't just let them blow past that. Well, I don't know. I just filled it out. People don't just fill out stuff for fun. And if they do, they need to get a better hobby. They put down their phone number, their date of birth, their address, that type of deal. So there's a reason they need it, and it's your job to force that why out of them. And after that, I'm getting the beneficiary out. So who's going to be here to pick up the pieces when you pass, and find out who we're protecting. Obviously, if it's a couple, it's the other person.
Let me ask you this real quick, because I do think this is important. And truthfully, man, like, a lot of new agents struggle with, I think in the beginning is, let's say you do have, because I mean, listen, man, let's once again, in all transparency, there's a lot of people that will kind of, well, I got 7 of these forms in the mail, or I just filled it out. Like, if you don't mind, like, do you have a question or two that you, like, how do you draw that? Like, how do you pull, you say you pull and prod, like, do you have like a go-to to kind of get them to open up? Or, because that is something for me that I run across. I mean, shoot, if I run 6-7 appointments, I mean, I'm running across someone that's like this and guarded, a fair amount. So
yeah, a question I usually always ask in there, I guess I kind of blew past it, but so if it's a couple, that is, I always ask, this is obviously what you filled out. You want to say it's a mortgage. You want to make sure the house is taken care of if something happens to you, right? They have to say yes. I'm forcing a yes out of them, to try and get them to open up. And then it's always, if they don't want to tell you, it's like, so when you filled this out, Bob, are you mainly worried about if you were to pass to protect Mary, or Mary, if you were to pass to protect Bob, or both of you, or what's really going on? And that usually always opens something up a lot of times they think it's to get both of them. So they're going to say, well, if either one of us were to pass, got it. Okay. And then I might touch in. So anything we put in place for you, Bob, is going to be for you to be approved, going to be based on your health. That's to protect married, vice versa, that type of thing. But you kind of got to feel them out. Like everyone's different. Like you said, you got a guy that like standoffish. Like he doesn't want to open up to you. He doesn't want to open up to you because he doesn't know you and he thinks you're a salesman. So
like he opened the door like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a great example I had, I was running a mortgage and he barely booked the appointment on the phone. And I get there and because he wanted priced over the phone like crazy. And he's like, I don't know why you couldn't just, right when I walk in the door, we don't even sit down. I don't know why you can't give me the price. I'm like, yeah, I know. We work with 20 different companies and obviously it all depends on your age, coverage amount, that smoker, non-smoker, that type of stuff. He's like, still irritated. Like, well, you got my date of birth right there. You got my mortgage amount right there. I'm this old. I don't smoke. What's the price? And like real standoffish. And in the beginning, I probably would have let him take control and overcome me, and I wouldn't have sold it. But that's especially when you have to take control and you have to remember you're the only one with the insurance license. He doesn't know how it works. And that's where you keep your structure because people are going to want to throw you off and when you're setting the table. But it's just like an objection on the phone. You're gonna acknowledge the objection. You're gonna acknowledge what they were questioning. You're gonna overcome it, and you're going right back to booking an appointment. Here, you're overcoming it, and you're going right back to setting the table. And I think that's the best thing to do. So that's basically what I mean. At that point, I'm like, yeah, I know. It's just we work with, like I said, 20 different carriers, and it's all these carriers. Like there's 40 plus different products out there. There's ones with all the bells and whistles. There are ones that just pay off the mortgage in the event of a death. There's stuff with living benefits. So you can kind of understand why I'm not able to tell you a price. That's why I'm going to go over and I acknowledge the objection right there. And then right then I'm not pausing. I'm going right back to setting the table. So basically what we're going to do today is all these carriers, I'm showing them the carriers. Like we're going to work with 20 plus different A.
I didn't mean to throw you off with that objection question, but if you just want to real quickly, like let's say Bob and Mary's they're not standoffish. Like they're sitting there, they're good. What real quick, because I just want to address that because a lot of new agents, like they get thrown off their game when people aren't, not every appointment, they're going to be like, hey, come on in. And I've been dying to buy from you, so that's great that you just, you treat it like the phone. So let's say you sit down with Bob and Mary, they're all ears. What is your, how do you set the table? Yeah.
So to kind of piggyback where I was, so I'm asking them why they filled it out, getting the why, and getting the beneficiary out. And then after that, okay. And at that point, I'll show them my license. So I'm on a legit appointment. I know why I'm there. I know who we're protecting. So I'll stop and basically say, so before we do anything, I want to verify with you who I am. Show them my license. That's my license number right there underneath my name. I recommend you take a picture of that. Just you want to make sure you're dealing with someone that's licensed, but most people want to see it. Just make sure they don't have some random weirdo in their house. Sometimes you'll get a chuckle, sometimes you won't. But so I leave that there, and then I'm pulling out the credibility sheet, basically showing them the credibility sheet. So basically, my job's pretty simple. I'm just the field underwriter. Just my job to get you approved somewhere. So we're going to shop all these top A-rated carriers. We work with 20 plus different carriers. We shop everyone to get you the coverage you need and go with the cheapest company. It's pretty simple. They're all great companies. Like I said, all top A-rated carriers, all been in business over 100 years. So whoever's going to save you the most money, we usually go with. And at that point, so how they accept you is essentially like on two things. That's your prescription and your medical history. So with that being said, I'm obviously going to go over a few health questions with you real quick, a few financial questions just to make sure whatever you put in place, you guys are comfortable with it, but that it's actually affordable. Because all that matters is that this is here when you need it. whether it be tomorrow or 30 years from now. And we don't want you killing yourself to pay it either. So we just want to make sure something's in place to protect Mary. And something's always better than nothing. And you just want to focus on that point right there, just to make sure that they know they're not thinking you're going to sell them something huge, or that we build quick rapport. So it's key right there in the very beginning to let them know that you're there, you're in control, you're there to help them, but that you're not their friend either, but that they can trust you at the same time. So it's a real happy, you have to find a good flow to do that. But and then after that, I basically say, so yeah, after I go over those different questions with you, I'll give you a few different options with obviously the coverage amounts, the prices, all the details of the product, all that good stuff. Whatever you guys decide to go with, that's what we'll send off to the insurance carrier today to see if we can get you approved or not. And which I'll be able to tell you today. Everything's done on our tablets, makes it super easy. So before I leave today, I'll be able to tell if you're approved or not. And but that application we send in for approval is just your information, name, address, date of birth, beneficiaries, social security number for your medical records, because that's what they're looking at to approve or not. And lastly, if you are approved, obviously your bank information, like your routing and account number. Does that make sense? And they're saying, does that make sense to everything I just said? And at that point, if they do that, then it's perfect. Only thing you need to start is just your driver's licenses. And I get those kind of right off the bat, and I run through the financial inventory.
So you're very like nonchalant about the whole thing, in the sense of like, you're like, look, I'm just a field underwriter. My job is to put the best coverage in place for the cheapest amount. You're letting the client know up front what you're going to need. I think you and I both can agree that the scariest part about the whole thing in the beginning was asking for Social Security and banking. So I do the same thing. I tell them up front, like, look, we are going to submit an application. In order for them to tell, they're going to check the MIB report through your Social Security number. They're going to validate that you are who you say you are through your banking. They will take payment if you get approved. So do you find that the way that you set the table, and this is for new agents too, is new agents, I'm a firm believer in, if you set the table properly, like, that's how you're getting the sale. Like, if you do a good enough job on the front end, the back end should be a laydown. I mean, it should just be, you explained like everything that was about to happen before it happened. So let me just ask you this, and I know I'm giving you pushback on some stuff, but we got to do it. Let's say you do that and you get some pushback on the social and the banking. How do you deal with that? Because probably you're so good, it's probably few and far between that you do get pushback at this point. Because obviously the better you set it up on the front end, the easier it is on the back end. But let's say you do get a little bit of pushback. Let's say I'm like, what's that for again? Or
Right. So before I do that, so just the main reason people get that is they don't do anything in the very beginning, and they jump right to like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to need your social and bank information without really doing anything beforehand. So that's why I never get that, because in the beginning, I'm having them tell me why I'm there, figuring out who the beneficiary is. And what I didn't really touch on is we don't build a bunch of rapport, like I said, but asking a few additional questions about the beneficiary, letting them know why you care, or that you care, and why you're there, and that you're actually there to help them, then they never have an issue of giving you their social and their bank information. That will take away basically 90% of that. Then I still have the other 10%, the people that I never give my bank information out, or I don't like giving my social out. But I mean, if I get that, it's like, yeah, I know that's just how all these carriers do it. Since there's no medical exam, like I said, that's what they're using your Social Security number with, because that's tied to all your prescriptions and your medical history. And that's basically what we'll need at the end. But I just like to be upfront with you about it all. I like to let you know how it's going to go, so I don't blindside you here at the end. But that's something we're going to need along with the banking information, because everything is automatic nowadays, like almost everything in the world now. So it does require a routing and account number, which, I mean, a routing number, that I can Google that with whatever bank you have. Just the account number is direct linked to your specific account. So if you want to continue, I just need your driver's licenses. And
So dude, you've really just, I mean, it just flows, dude. You've run hundreds of appointments. You got it down. It's like, you know, it's really cool, like, to see, you know, someone come in like yourself and just kind of, you just run so many appointments, dude. Like by the time you get to 100 appointments, it's so true. Like, you've pretty much seen everything you're going to see. You know, so you're not like surprised by any stretch. Okay, man. So listen, I know that I know you're kind of pressed for time, but not too much. Let me ask you this, and then we'll get you out of here. What do you think is the major contributing factor for you hitting Hall of Fame in the short amount of time that you did?
I bring everything back to being mentally tough. I think everything comes back to that. And I mean, I've only been able to do that just like with the goals we have. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have the support of my wife. Absolutely not. Like, she's in the office every day helping me with the office. On top of that, the kids at home, taking care of everything like that. But it's like we have a goal, and in order to get anywhere, any type of realistic goal or a high achieving goal, you're going to have to give something up to achieve that goal. And you just got to figure out what that is that you're going to need to give up. And that was in the beginning, it was obviously social life, and a lot of it was family time, but it was something that I'm willing to give up now to later not have to worry about it ever again. And I can decide what I do and do not miss. And it's just something that, when the going gets tough, you've got to be able to push through it. And that's why I'm still not that awesome in the home. Like, I've got people that sell right. So it's like people I sit on it, it's maybe I sell 50 to 75% if I'm having a good week, but like, it's not crazy. I just have a lot of appointments. So I just knew I had to go out and do that. And honestly, where we're at now, I have to produce at the level we're at to fund the business. Yeah. And that's also what's pushing me in order to do that and to reach our goals. So
and I feel the same way as you do. Like, I'm nothing special. Like, I envy the people that can go out and sit 10 people and sell 8 or 9 of them. It drives me up the wall. I mean, it really does. Like, dude, I wish I would have written $1 million last year if I was even remotely good. But I would, if I just from the outside looking in, and we don't know each other that well, I would say that, and I think this goes for, if you ask all the Hall of Fame producers, you know, mental toughness. If you look at it in like the macro sense and not the micro, it's like, I'm not worried about a no-show. I'm not worried about a hang-up. It's like, you can have a bad day, you can have a bad week, you know, but you're never going to have a bad month. And as long as you just understand that, like, if I create good habits, which obviously you have, like, you're sacrificing family time, you know, you're taking short-term losses for long-term gains so that you don't have to sacrifice, you know, down the road. But it seems like to me that you've created good habits. You've mentally, you understand that this is, you know, it's a grind. But if you get into a good groove and you know, I think that the people that are inconsistent and don't follow follow the game plan just really struggle. And the people that are consistent and are mentally tough flourish. I mean, and it's, you know, so, okay. Last question, man. If you had, so obviously you're building a team, and, you know, you've got big goals and big ambition, and dude, obviously you're a hard worker. What would be your advice for new agents that are coming on that are maybe in like their first week or two, or, you know, like that, are trying to figure this thing out, kind of like we were, last year.
Mhm.
What would be like your leave us with a gem, Will?
So I tell everybody, and I love Easton's story, how he started. He was 90 days all in, and that's what I tell everyone: be 90 days all in, because some people come in here making good money, and they have to make good money to survive. But then you have the people that are like making 2-3 grand a month, and they just need something to survive. And the problem with, honestly, with both is people. My advice is don't take any vacations for the first 90 days. Don't take a day off in the first 90 days. Like, you're a business owner, you are 1099. It is your job to go to work every day. It's your job to reach out and ask questions when you need help, and just keep your head down and don't look up at what you invested your first week and what was deposited your first week, but look up at 90 days. And if you're truly working 40, 50 plus hours a week, at the 90-day mark, look up at what was deposited in your bank account and what you spent on leads. I promise you, if you work this right and you continue to get better every single day, there's no way that you're not extremely profitable here. And after that 90-day mark, that's when you go from writing 20 grand a month to 30, 40, 50. And that's what I tell everyone. And I tell everyone, like, if you're, like Sean said, like 15K and anything under that's broke here. Anyone with real bills. And I'm extremely upfront with everyone. If you're full-time here and you're not issuing 15 grand a month by your 90-day mark, it's time to go get a new job. It's time to go get a W-2 job. If it's go back to part-time or totally leave the business, like, it's no hard feelings. I just don't want anyone here broke, and I don't want a bad taste in your mouth about FFL and why it didn't work. So it's just extremely upfront with everyone, and just being all in and extremely figuring out what your why is. Because when it sucks, that's what you got to look back on why you're doing it. Because if you're not successful and you're struggling because you had a lot of no-shows and you don't really have a why you're doing this, it's easy to give up. But you only fail here if you don't work or you quit completely. And you can't be emotional at all. People go through a grind. They're all in for maybe a week or two, and then the phones start getting at you. The people on the phones yelling at you. They're not answering this one day, and then you stop working as much, and then you stop having as many appointments, and you're not getting paid as much, and then you got a couple of chargebacks after your month or two in, and then it's a roller coaster, and you're putting yourself in a hole that you can't come back from. So to avoid all that, like you said, be consistent and just work your consistent hours, work the consistent appointments, and don't have one big week. Don't go write 10K and then in your second week here and be super ecstatic. You deposit 5 or 7 grand, and then you only run 10 appointments the next week. Those are the people that are going to struggle come month 2.
Yeah. And something that I thought about last year for me personally is I think I had 1 month where I was like number 1 on FFL USA's sales, like, for the month, but I was always consistently like top 10. So, but then you see producers that would have huge months and then they disappear for 3 months. So for me, I was very proud of the fact that, like, I don't need to be the number 1 producer. I just want to be here at the end of the race knowing that I ran it consistently. You know what I mean? So, Colton, I really appreciate your time, bro. I appreciate you breaking down how you've become a Hall of Fame producer in 9 months. That's way better than I did, dude. So I'm very, very, very happy that you did that, man. I know that was a goal. Look forward to seeing you on the agency leaderboard, dude. Anything I can personally do for you in the future, man, don't hesitate to reach out. Guys, I hope y'all took good notes. Dial day today. Get back on FFL Dial Team. Colton, once again, man, we really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you in the future, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. You guys back at it. We'll see you next week.